When you look at the people who achieve greatness, the ones who break barriers, the ones who refuse to settle for average, you'll notice something. It's not always that they were the most talented, the most skilled, or even the most educated. What sets them apart is the way they think, the way they approach challenges, the energy they bring, and the belief they hold within themselves. That's attitude. Skill is valuable, but skill without the right attitude is wasted potential. The truth is, skill can be learned, developed, sharpened over time, but attitude, your mindset, your drive, your hunger, this is what determines how far you'll go. The greatest edge you can ever give yourself is not just what you know, but how you show up. Every person on this planet has moments when they doubt themselves. They question whether they have the ability, the resources, or the intelligence to achieve what they desire. But here's the truth that too many overlook. Your future is not defined by the limitations of your skill set. It's defined by the strength of your attitude. Attitude is the starting line, the energy you bring to the game before the whistle even blows. Skill may allow you to execute, but attitude is what allows you to even see the opportunity in the first place. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone with enormous talent wasted because they lacked the right mindset? They had all the tools, but their attitude was small, negative, or hesitant. They looked at the world through a filter of doubt, and as a result, their skills never saw the light of day. On the other hand, look at the people who rise, who inspire, who break barriers. Often, they are not the most skilled, but they are the ones who walk into a room with belief, with conviction, with fire in their soul. Attitude shapes the way you see problems. Two people can face the exact same obstacle. One sees a dead end, the other sees a challenge to grow through. Skill alone cannot reframe a problem. Only attitude can do that. When your attitude says, "This is possible," suddenly, your mind begins searching for solutions, pathways, and opportunities that your skill can then put into action. Without the right attitude, your skill lies dormant, like a sword never drawn. When your attitude is aligned with possibility, you become unstoppable. You stop asking, "Can I?" and you start declaring, "I will." That shift is powerful because the brain follows the command you give it. A negative attitude blocks creativity. A strong attitude ignites it. Skills don't wake up until your attitude gives them a reason to. That's why so many brilliant people remain stuck. They haven't shifted the energy of their attitude. Attitude is the permission slip you give yourself to attempt something beyond what you already know. It's the decision to leap before the skill is fully formed. Too many people wait for perfection before they begin, and in that waiting, they waste years of their lives. The truth is, your skill grows as you move, but movement only happens when your attitude is bold enough to take the first step. When your attitude says yes, skill finds a way to follow. When your attitude says no, skill doesn't even get a chance. That's why possibility always begins in the mind. It begins with the belief that there is more inside you than you've yet tapped into. Once that belief is solid, your skill gets direction, it gets purpose, it gets unleashed. Without that attitude, you could have mastery in your hands, but no willingness to use it. Look at history's greatest innovators, leaders, and change makers. They were rarely the most skilled at the beginning. They didn't have all the answers, but they had an attitude that said, "This will work, I will find a way, and I will not stop until it happens." That attitude opened the door for their skills to evolve and expand. If they had waited for the perfect moment, for the perfect skill set, the world would still be waiting. Attitude determines whether you play to win or play not to lose. Those two approaches produce radically different outcomes. Playing to win means you bring your whole self, your energy, your boldness, your belief. Playing not to lose means you hold back, you second, guess, you shrink. Skill doesn't decide which game you play, attitude does. And the person with average skill but a champion's attitude will outperform the person with world-class skill but a fearful mindset. The most dangerous words you can ever say are "I already know." That shuts down growth. That closes doors. Attitude says, "I can always learn more, I can always do more, I can always expand." Skill without growth mindset stagnates, but attitude infused with hunger will pull more skill into your life than you thought possible. That's why the ones who stay humble, curious, and driven go further than those who rely solely on what they already know. Attitude also defines how you handle failure, because let's be honest, failure will happen. Mistakes will happen. That's life. Skill alone won't get you through it, because skill doesn't speak to your heart. Attitude does. Attitude tells you whether you rise or whether you collapse. With the right attitude, failure becomes feedback, a stepping stone to mastery. With the wrong attitude, failure becomes the end. That's the power of mindset. It determines whether you keep moving or give up. If you want to see what attitude can do, look at the people who started with nothing and built empires. They didn't have the money, the connections, or the skill set, but they had an attitude of resourcefulness. They believed, if I don't have the skill now, I'll learn it. If I don't have the resources now, I'll find them. That belief created momentum, and momentum created opportunity, and opportunity developed their skill. Attitude is the seed that grows everything else. The beauty of attitude is that it's a choice. Skill takes time to build, but attitude is available to you right now. You can decide in this very moment to see your life differently, to approach your challenges differently, to stop focusing on what you lack and start focusing on what's possible. That shift doesn't take years. It takes seconds, and when you make it, everything else begins to align. When you carry an attitude of possibility, you become magnetic. People want to be around you, to support you, to open doors for you. They feel your energy. They feel your conviction. That's something skill alone can never provide. Skills may impress, but attitude inspires. Skills may create efficiency, but attitude creates belief. And belief, combined with relentless action, is what moves mountains. So let this truth sink in deeply. Skill may execute the task, but attitude is what shapes the possibility. Attitude is the engine, and skill is the tool. You can sharpen tools all day long, but without fuel, you're going nowhere. That fuel is your mindset, your perspective, your decision to approach life with courage, resilience, and unstoppable energy. Every breakthrough begins in the mind before it ever shows up in reality. You can't grow if you don't first believe growth is possible. That's why attitude is the engine that fuels development. Skills may be the outcome, but attitude is the starting line. When you carry the right mindset, you open yourself to learning, to expanding, to failing forward, and to evolving into someone greater than you were yesterday. Skill doesn't create that hunger. Attitude does. Think about a time in your life when you were new at something, whether it was a job, a sport, or even a personal challenge. In the beginning, you didn't have mastery. You weren't polished. But what carried you through wasn't expertise. It was the fire inside you to learn, to improve, to keep going even when it felt uncomfortable. That fire is attitude. Without it, growth stalls before it ever begins. Attitude makes the difference between someone who embraces challenges and someone who avoids them. Growth requires discomfort. It requires stepping into the unknown and pushing beyond what feels safe. A negative or closed attitude says, "This is too hard, I'll never get it." A growth-driven attitude says, "This is tough, but if I stay with it, I'll get better." That shift in mindset changes the trajectory of your entire life. Every skill you admire in someone else was once foreign to them. The musician who plays flawlessly, the athlete who dominates, the leader who inspires, they weren't born with mastery. They were born with the same blank canvas as you. What separated them was attitude. They decided to grow. They decided to stumble, to sweat, to repeat, to refine. Their attitude drove them to practice when others quit. Skill followed that consistent, relentless mindset. Attitude also determines how you interpret failure during the growth process. Because failure is inevitable, there's no growth without mistakes, no mastery without setbacks. When your attitude is fragile, you take failure personally. You see it as proof that you're not good enough. But when your attitude is strong, you see failure as feedback. You see it as data, as an opportunity to adjust and get better. That perspective transforms the entire process of learning. A strong attitude allows you to be patient with yourself. Growth is rarely instant. Skill takes time, but the right mindset gives you endurance, the ability to persist when results aren't immediate. Too many people give up because they expect mastery overnight. Their attitude collapses, and as a result, their skills never catch up. but those with the right attitude stick with it long enough for skill to blossom. Attitude is also what fuels curiosity. Curiosity is the spark that makes you ask questions, seek mentors, explore new paths. Without curiosity, you plateau quickly. With curiosity, you unlock doors you didn't even know existed. Skill grows naturally when your attitude keeps you open, hungry, and willing to learn from every experience and every person you encounter. Think about the people who seem to adapt quickly in any environment. They might not start as the most skilled, but within a short time, they've caught up and surpassed others. Why? Because their attitude is flexible. They don't resist change, they lean into it. They see growth as exciting instead of intimidating. That attitude accelerates their learning, while those clinging to fixed mindsets fall behind. Attitude also builds resilience. Every journey of growth comes with setbacks, injuries, rejections, losses, disappointments. If your attitude isn't strong, those moments break you. But when your attitude is resilient, those moments shape you. They give you grit. They force you to dig deeper, and in the process, your skills sharpen, your abilities expand, and your character strengthens. Resilience isn't built in the skill set, it's built in the mindset. When you operate with a growth-driven attitude, you stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with yourself. You understand that skill is not about being instantly great, it's about being consistently better. The only way you can sustain that progress is by choosing an attitude that embraces progress over perfection. That's when skill compounds. Small improvements stack up until suddenly, you're performing at levels you once thought impossible. Attitude turns ordinary effort into extraordinary persistence. Skills alone don't motivate you to keep going after countless failures. It's the mindset behind the effort that keeps you moving. That's why people with the right attitude become unstoppable learners. They know mastery is not a destination, it's a journey, and their attitude keeps them excited about the process instead of discouraged by the distance they still have to travel. Attitude also creates momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in growth. Once you start moving, once you start improving even a little, that energy builds. With the right attitude, you see progress even in small wins, and those wins inspire more effort. With the wrong attitude, you dismiss small wins and rob yourself of momentum. The right mindset keeps you appreciating the process, which fuels your drive, which sharpens your skill. When you carry an attitude that fuels growth, you inspire others along the way. People notice your hunger, your resilience, your willingness to grow no matter how many times you fall. That energy becomes contagious, and as others are drawn to your journey, new opportunities, collaborations, and resources show up that further accelerate your skill development. Your attitude doesn't just impact you, it creates ripples in the world around you. Ultimately, attitude is the soil, and skill is the fruit. Without fertile soil, nothing grows. You can plant seeds of skill, but without the nourishment of a strong attitude, they wither before they ever mature. With the right attitude, every seed you plant has the potential to bloom into something extraordinary. And the more you nurture that soil with belief, resilience, and persistence, the more abundant your harvest of skill becomes. Skill may capture attention for a moment, but attitude captures hearts for a lifetime. You can be brilliant at what you do, but if the energy you bring repels people, doors will close no matter how talented you are. Attitude is the force that draws others toward you. It's magnetic. It's contagious. It doesn't just impress, it inspires. And in a world driven by connection, that matters more than anything else. When you walk into a room, people feel your energy before they hear your words or see your skills. Attitude radiates silently. It shapes the atmosphere around you. A confident, positive, empowering attitude uplifts others and makes them want to lean in. A bitter, negative, or arrogant attitude pushes people away, no matter how brilliant your skill set may be. That's why so many talented individuals struggle. They focus on polishing their craft but neglect the energy they bring. Attitude attracts opportunities that skill alone cannot. People choose to work with, invest in, and support those they trust, respect, and feel good around. Skill might get you noticed once, but attitude determines whether others want to stay in your orbit. A person with moderate skill but a phenomenal attitude often gets chosen over the expert who drains the room with negativity. Because people don't just buy into what you do, they buy into who you are. Think about the leaders, teachers, or mentors who have left a lasting impact on you. Was it just their expertise? Or was it the way they carried themselves, the way they believed in you, the way their energy made you feel capable and inspired? That's attitude. Their skill gave them credibility, but their attitude made you want to follow them. That's the power of presence. It reaches far beyond technical ability. Attitude is what builds trust. People can admire your skill, but they trust your attitude. If your mindset is grounded in integrity, positivity, and commitment, people sense it. They know you're not just about looking good, you're about lifting others and creating value. Skill alone doesn't guarantee trust. It can impress for a season, but attitude is what sustains long-term relationships. Attitude is also what shapes collaboration in any environment, whether it's business, sports, or personal life. Working with others is essential. Nobody succeeds in isolation. A person with great skills but a toxic attitude poisons the team. They create friction instead of flow. Meanwhile, someone with developing skills but a fantastic attitude can elevate the whole group. Their energy makes everyone better, and in turn, their own skills grow faster through collaboration. When you bring the right attitude, you don't just attract people. You attract mentors, guides, and partners who accelerate your growth. People are willing to invest in those with the right energy. They'll teach you, support you, and open doors you could never open alone. But if your attitude is closed, defensive, or arrogant, those opportunities vanish. Attitude opens doors that skill alone cannot even knock on. Attitude is also a brand. Your personal brand isn't just what you know or what you've achieved. It's how people feel when they interact with you. Do they walk away uplifted, energized, and motivated? Or do they leave drained and discouraged? Skill contributes to your brand, but attitude defines it. And in a world where reputation spreads faster than ever, your attitude shapes how far your influence reaches. When challenges strike, attitude again becomes the differentiator. People naturally gravitate toward those who remain calm, optimistic, and resourceful under pressure. Skill might solve the technical problem, but attitude solves the emotional one. It steadies the group, it creates confidence, it allows everyone to keep moving forward even in chaos. That stability is what attracts leaders, partners, and opportunities to you in the toughest times. Attitude also determines how you handle success, because success without humility can destroy relationships as quickly as failure does. People respect skill, but they resent arrogance. On the other hand, when you achieve with gratitude, humility, and generosity, people cheer you on and want to help you go further. Attitude makes your victories bigger because you share them with others instead of hoarding the spotlight. A positive, powerful attitude has a ripple effect. You may not realize it, but every interaction plants a seed in someone else's mind. A kind word, a confident smile, a spark of encouragement. All of these can change the course of another person's day, week, or even life. Skills may impress people in the moment, but attitude leaves an imprint that lasts far beyond the immediate interaction. Attitude is also the foundation of influence. Influence isn't just about telling people what to do, it's about inspiring them to want to do it. And inspiration comes from energy, not just knowledge. A person who believes deeply, who carries themselves with conviction, who radiates possibility. They attract followers naturally. Skills may give you the mic, but attitude gives you the voice people actually want to listen to. Attitude is contagious. If you walk into a room with negativity, it spreads. If you walk in with energy, courage, and positivity, it spreads too. And that influence multiplies beyond what you can see. Every person you uplift goes on to impact others. Your skill may solve problems, but your attitude changes people. And when you change people, you change entire environments. So understand this deeply. Skills may open the door, but attitude determines whether the door stays open. Skills may impress the world, but attitude inspires it. Skills are temporary advantages, but attitude creates permanent connections. When you lead with the right mindset, you don't just achieve, you attract. And what you attract shapes the future far more than what you impress in the moment.